Hello there and welcome back to Only the Best Fantasy. My name is Robin, and today I wanted to discuss the top 10 series that I'm planning to read in 2024. Now, most of these series are completed. A lot of them are sequels to sequel trilogies or sequel quartets or sequels in general to previous series that I read either in 2023 or before. And a lot of them are also series that I decided I needed to read this year after I tried the author's latest book, and I got completely hooked. So in no particular order, first on the list of series that I intend to read this year is actually Benedict Jacka's Alex Vera series. His new series, Stephen Oakwood, the first book in Inheritance of Magic, was bar none my favorite book of 2023. Completely blew me out the water. I went into it with no expectations, was not ready. Really was not ready. So I'm very excited to try the series out. I also made a point of ignoring any reviews, any summaries, anything I could find about the series. I just picked up the first book and let's see what happens. My next series that I want to get to this year is Jacqueline Carey's Email trilogy. This will be her. This is a sequel series to her Fedra series, which starts with Cushion's Dart. I had a really enjoyable experience reading that first trilogy last year. It made me decide that I needed to finish up at least the second series this year, and hopefully the third also, and mark that entire saga as another series I've completed. But yeah, I have fairly high expectations of this series, even though the character that this one seems to be based off of, Imriel, is an important but also minor character in the first trilogy. But given my experience with that first trilogy, I have high hopes for how this is going to play out. Next up is the next series I intend to get to is R. Scott Bakker's Aspect Emperor. This is a quartet sequel to his Prince of Nothing trilogy. The Prince of Nothing trilogy was a pretty good experience for me. I had a few qualms with it, but nothing compared to how much I enjoyed it, and given the way that it wrapped up, I actually have fairly high expectations for what's going to happen in the Aspect Emperor series. So yeah, let's see how it goes. The next trilogy I want to get to is Shannon Chakraborty's Devabad trilogy. This is actually one of my sister's favorite reads, and I had an absolute blast reading her Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi last year. I think that's probably my second favorite book of 2023. So saying I have high expectations for Devabad is an understatement. The next series I plan to read is CNN Maguire's October Day series, mainly because I wanted to make another dive into urban fantasy. I'm already reading the Alex Vera series at some point, but I wanted to give CNN Maguire a try first, mainly because I enjoyed her Goblin Emperor series, which she wrote as Catherine Addison. And in addition to that, this is an 18-book series. She's a very prolific author, and she's got to be doing something right for the series to run 18 books and change. So yeah, let's see. When I'm done, I'll let you know my thoughts. The other series number 6 I plan to touch this year is Glenn Cook's Dread Empire. I'm a big fan of the Black Company books. They're heavily influential in the dark fantasy, military fantasy subgenres. They're a direct influence to the Malazan Book of the Fallen series, which is probably in my top 5 epic fantasy series of all time. So I have high expectations for the Dread Empire books, and I've been meaning to get to Glen Cook for a few years now. So 2024 is the year I put my foot down and say, let's get this done. The next series I plan to read is R.A. Salvatore's Trist novels from the Forgotten Realms. You can actually see them right here. I bought the 4 volumes that were released as the 25th anniversary editions. I bought them about a couple of years ago, and I've never gotten around to reading them. I plan to fix that this year and read at least one of those books, which is each one's a trilogy. So yeah, that's series number 7. The next series I plan to read is Ashok K. Banker's Burnt Empire Saga. This is probably going to be a buddy read with my wife. She picked this series. I didn't really pay attention to what's going on there, what it's about, anything like that. What did intrigue me about it is that it's a fantasy series that does something very, very strange. You don't see this normally in fantasy. The first book is very thick. The second book is about half the size of the first book. And the third book is about half the size of the second book. I think that's the only trilogy I can point to where it seems like the story shrinks as it progresses. Typically it's the other way around. So very interested to see what happens there. Then my 9th series that I plan to get to at some point in this year is Jim Butcher's Codex Alera. I've been wanting to read this for quite a while. I just never got around to it. I always kind of decide I want to read something else instead. And it's pretty much the only remaining Jim Butcher books I haven't read as yet. And I'm intrigued to see where it goes, because I came across a story online somewhere where apparently Jim Butcher wrote this as a challenge when someone suggested that he write a book based on Pokemon and the Lost Roman Legion. So this should make for an interesting fusion, an interesting read, and let's see what happens. And that's series number 9. The 10th series I want to check out this year is Django Wexler's Shadow Campaigns, a quintet of flintlock fantasy novels that were pretty hyped a few years back, back when Brian McLennan really stole the show when he released his Promise of Blood. And I'm interested to see how this plays out. I keep hearing good things about it, and it's been on my to-read list for quite a while, so I'm excited to finally get to that. So those are the series I definitely plan to read this year. In total, I estimate there are around 60 books total, and I tend to read well over 100 books every year, so I should be able to manage it easily, even factoring in the fact that I'll be reading a ton of new releases, and these are all just fantasy. I also read quite a few books that are not fantasy. So yeah, let's see what happens there. I do have a few other series if I have the time, I want to get to this year. Series like Ken Liu's Dandelion Dynasty and Robin Hobb's Soldier's Son. But yeah, let's see. I plan to really to make videos kind of discussing each trilogy series that I read. Kind of get the ball going on some discussions, and when I finish them, I'll probably post something and we'll see. So that's my list of series that I'm looking forward to reading this year. What about you? What do you have on tap for this year? Feel free to, if you made it this far, thank you for watching, and let me know your thoughts in the comments.